Hi, I'm Mark Rushka. Welcome to this video, which is the fourth in a series of videos designed to show the viewer how an ancient microlithic abstract art figurative language works. In the last video, I focused on how the Mammoth people use the opposing heads art form as the basis for their microlithic abstract art language. In this fourth video, I'm going to attempt to show a different way that the microlithic abstract artisan creates a head image. He utilizes the same combined optical and cognitive illusion, almost statuesque image of a head that you see from one specific angle, but he creates the head's face by rubbing down into the heat-treated stone until he finds the features of the cognitive illusion face that he's looking for. In other words, a herdswoman's bonnet-covered head can be seen as a close-up image, and her whole bonnet-covered head may appear as a statuesque bust from one distinct angle. But unlike other statuesque opposing heads, the herdswoman's face is rubbed out flat and may actually appear concave. What you see instead of the three-dimensional features of her face are the flat cognitive illusion features which can fool your mind's eye into seeing her realistic looking head and face. Let me show you some convincing examples from the Spanish diggings that I found in East Central Wyoming. I use these artworks as examples because they are so much bigger and easier to see compared to the artworks that I found around my home near Ulysses, Nebraska. So to start off, I'm going to show you some line sketch illustrations that I sketched perhaps 6 or 7 years ago in my book, the second book, The Reflections from the Pleistocene. That is a companion book to the Sentient Mammoth people. And what I'm going to attempt to do is, first of all, I showed you this image in the last video, and I'm going to use the same one to show you how you can see this polished, heat-treated stone from the Spanish diggings. Now imagine, use my pointer. So imagine this bonnet-covered head, and imagine it's this statuesque image, and her face is rubbed flat until the artist rubbed down until he found, like, imagine now that this is the bonnet. This is the right tie flap of the bonnet. Her face is just rubbed out flat. See how polished it is? But if you look closely, and it's all about the lighting in this room, but because of the glare of the polish, but there's her cognitive illusion right eye, her cognitive illusion left eye, her cognitive illusion right eye, her nose, her nostrils, and her mouth. And up here you can actually see her curly hair. This is all a purple inclusion that's in the stone. And the artist simply rubbed down until he got to that. I'm trying to find so you can see it. Till he got down to that. Okay, another example. Here's another artwork. And in this particular artwork, this is the infant's head. This would be like in the bucking milk cow folklore tale. This is the infant's hood. It's got a onesie hood covering his head. He's got the same rubbed out flat face, and it was rubbed down. You can just see exactly how they rubbed down into the stone until they found the features of his baby face. There's his nose, you can see his nostrils, his baby nose, pug nose, his eye, right eye, his left eye, his big forehead with no hair, and his mouth and chin. If I held them up together, you could almost see this as two of the figures, the characters, in the bucking milk cow epic folklore tale. It'd be like mom herdswoman looking, and there's her infant flopping on the left shoulder of the bucking milk cow. Got it? All right. Now I'm going to take you back to the volcanic mass exodus, which is the #1 folklore tale of the Mammoth people. And I'm just going to put some images in your mind's eye and then show you another artwork that's got a really flat surface rubbed down. You would never think it's an artwork, but you can see the white cortex and the rest of the heat-treated stone. This one is where the teenage young lad is compassionately consoling his sobbing little sister while crotchety grandma is telling her to go. She's reflecting off of his right shoulder. And she's yelling at her to go march out, get that naughty kitty and go march out in front of her big brother and her dad, where she can keep a glaring eyeball on her. Okay, so just kind of burn that in your mind's eye. You can see she's already holding her kitty. That's her kitty's face. And she's crying up into his face. He's a sympathetic big brother. Some of these others. Here's another example of that. Grandma's yelling down. She's crying, and he's trying to console her. But now okay, so now I'm going to show you this piece. Imagine in this imagery, so there's delirious grandpa, and he's on his travelist behind the horse. And there's the kitty that's on the other side after he scratched grandpa's face. Now imagine if that horse was trying to get his head under this right travelist pole, and he was turning, and he wanted to see. So imagine this is his head. This is his, see the white cortex, how it's been rubbed out? That's like his halter strap across his forehead. This is his laid back right ear, and that would be like this would be like the flat pole that's under his head. It's an invisible edge. And this is the front of his snorting snout. He had flare nostrils. And imagine his head poking out over here on this side of the horse so that he can see what's going on behind him. And that's exactly what this statuesque image is. It's the front right side view of that beast of burden horse's head. Well, it's all been created because of this reflection. This is a cognitive illusion reflection of the bawling, waist-tying maiden's face. See her? That's her open mouth, her teeth. This is the reverse image of her. That's her top teeth, big top teeth. Her mouth, her face is looking up at her big brother. There's her pug nose. Mouth is wide open and she's bawling. And she's a reflection off the right side of that snorting horse's head. She's at odds with her big brother because she's bawling and crying to him, and he's trying to console her, so they'd be inverted to each other. So that horse is just shaking his head and trying to, let's imagine that he inverts his head. And then she literally morphs into his face, in his head. There's his chin. He's talking, he's got the same summertime cap with a short visor on it. There's his eyebrow, his eyes, his nose. And you're seeing the rear left side of his face. And the reason why is because in this image of him, he is shouting out to his madly marching little sister, because now she's in this scene, she's madly marching out in front of him, just like we see here. She's scolding her kitty, and she's madly marching out in front of him. And while he's shouting back to her and saying, "Hold your head up high because you didn't do anything wrong." You know, he was. There's the kitty. So let's go back to this. While he was doing that, to verify that that's exactly what's happening, when she turns around and looks, she's madly marching out in front of him. And let's assume that she turns to her right and looks back over her right shoulder, back at him, while he's shouting to hold her head up high because she didn't do anything wrong. That's her reflection. That's her face as she turns around, looks back over her right shoulder. That's her right eye, left eye, her talking mouth. He's shouting at her to hold your head up high. You didn't do anything wrong. That's her. And that's him. And it's a cognitive illusion rubbed on a flat surface. What's interesting about this piece is that, so we saw the horse. Now in this scene, there's the horse looking back he's trying to get under the left traverse pole. So imagine his head reversed. And he's on the other side but in this image, he's over here. What's so amazing about this piece is normally when the kitty was on the other side of the traverse, he was hunkered down because she had to go over there and get him. And when she came over to pick him up, that kitty was hunkered down because of all the yelling and screaming, and he knew he did a naughty thing. The horse's head morphs into the kitty. This is the front right side view of the kitty hunkered down. This is his paws. This is his right paw's claws. His face and head, his chin is on top of his right paw. This is his right paw. You can actually see the paw and the rubbed out toes. And this line is the underside of his right foreleg. It's like he's laying down, he's hunkered down. This is his right eye. His left eye would be over here, and he shares the front of his face and his nose with the horse, with the beast of burden horse. They are opposing heads, sharing the backs of their heads. Here's the horse's head with his right ear laid back. And this, for all I know, this could even represent the traverse pole that he's trying to get his head under, the right traverse pole. So what's ironic about this is she could actually be also reflecting off of her naughty kitty as she goes to pick him up. He's hunkered down, just like a kitty would do when he knows he did something wrong. Until next time.